Buckle up, because week 2 of the explosive sex trafficking and racketeering case against Sean Diddy Combs just wrapped, and it is a wild one. This trial has everything: A-list drama, a luxury lifestyle turned legal nightmare, and jaw-dropping allegations that feel more like a twisted Hollywood script than real life. We're talking Kid Cudi testifying that Diddy literally blew up his car, an exotic dancer named The Punisher claiming he was paid to sleep with Cassie while Diddy watched, Cassie's former best friend saying Diddy didn't just hurt Cassie, he hit her too. And then there's Cassie's mom, who told the court she paid Combs $20,000 to stop extorting her daughter. Oh, and let's not forget about the assistants who said that they were tasked with setting up hotel rooms with baby oil, Viagra, and drugs and cleaning it up. If convicted, Diddy could face life in prison and lose the empire he spent decades building. He's denying everything, but this trial is far from over. This is Scandal, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Kennedi Walker. So kicking off the top moments with The Punisher. Yes, that's what he goes by, and this is his photo. He's an exotic dancer and former sex worker. His real name is Sheree Hayes. He testified that he was hired by Diddy and Cassie about a dozen times. Now, what was he hired to do, you ask? Well, to have sex with Cassie while a naked Diddy sat and watched. Hayes told the court that Cassie reached out to him for the first time in 2012, but at that time she called herself Janet. According to court transcripts, he testified, "I was working at a club event. It was either Friday or Saturday night, and I got a call from a woman stating that it was her birthday, and her husband said that she can have a hired dancer. So she told me she had a get-together with some friends, and she wanted to hire me to do a show." But when Hayes showed up at the Trump Hotel on Central Park West, there was no party, no crowd, just Cassie wearing nothing but a bathrobe and a wig. Hayes told the jury, "We walked into the hotel suite area. I was expecting a crowd, but there was no guest there. I just stopped in front of the bathroom and just kind of asked, 'Would you like me to change here?' And she explained to me that she didn't want me to actually dance. She explained to me that her and her husband liked to create a sexy scene that consisted of me and her mutually applying baby oil, applying it to ourselves and to possibly each other, and tried to create a sexy environment that her husband would eventually come out and watch." That was just the first of about 12 encounters. Hayes said he was paid $800 the first time. When asked by prosecutors what type of sexual activity did you engage in with Ms. Ventura, Hayes responded, quote, "Oral sex, either me performing or her performing, and penetrative sex." He said there were specific instructions, quote, "Not to acknowledge her husband, try not to look at him, no communication or anything between me and him." And Diddy, he allegedly controlled everything. Quoting Hayes again, he said, quote, "At some point, he would come into the room, sit in the distance, gave subtle directions to Ms. Ventura based on, like I said, angles, lighting, positions, and sometimes the sexual activity." To paint the scene, Hayes described the setup like this. He said, quote, "The room was very dimly lit. There were candles. I don't think they were actual candles, but maybe electronic candles that looked like regular candles, but they were electronic. All of the furniture was covered in sheets, and there was an area pretty much set up for me to sit and her to sit across from me. And there were little bowls in that area with baby oil in them." Hayes then added, "At times, Combs was masturbating." Next up is Cassie's former best friend. Her name is Carrie Morgan, and what she told the jury, it was heart-wrenching. Morgan said she witnessed Diddy being physically violent towards Cassie multiple times. She testified, quote, "I saw him push her. I'm pretty sure he hit her." Another incident happened in Jamaica. Morgan told the jury, quote, "I heard her screaming and I went to the hallway. The hallway was extremely long and they were coming out of the master bedroom and he was dragging her by her hair on the floor." Morgan also recalled the aftermath of that infamous 2016 hotel incident that was caught on surveillance video. She said she was staying at Cassie's apartment when Cassie returned with a black eye. Morgan testified Combs showed up soon after. She told the jury, quote, "He was hitting the door with a hammer to try to open it." The prosecutor asked, "And how did you know it was Mr. Combs?" Morgan said, "He was yelling. I could hear him. There was a peephole we could see through." And in another incident, Morgan told the court that Diddy assaulted her at Cassie's apartment. Combs allegedly came over unannounced. Cassie locked herself in the bathroom and Morgan was in the living room. She told the jury, quote, "He came up behind me and choked me. And then when I got away, he boomeranged a wooden hanger on my head." The prosecutor asked, "How did he choke you?" She responded, "I'm not sure, but I had finger marks on my neck." The prosecutor asked, "What type of hanger did he hit you with?" She responded, "A wooden coat hanger." Morgan said after the assault, she vomited and was later diagnosed with a concussion. She got a lawyer and planned to sue. Morgan said weeks later, she met up with Cassie at a pizza restaurant. That's when Cassie told her Diddy was offering $30,000. When asked what Cassie said about the money, Morgan testified, quote, "She told me she thought I was milking it, that I was over-exaggerating." Then came the NDA. The prosecutor asked, "What, if anything, did she give you to sign when she told you about the money?" Morgan responded, "An NDA." The prosecutor asked, "Do you have a copy of that NDA?" Morgan responded, "No." The prosecutor asked, "How closely did you read it prior to signing?" Morgan responded, "I barely read it." When asked about her relationship with Cassie and Diddy after this, Morgan responded, "We haven't spoken since." Now let's talk about two other women who knew Cassie personally and say they saw the abuse firsthand. First up, Dawn Richard from the girl group Danity Kane. She testified, quote, "Puffy and Cassie were in the hallway arguing. He punched her in the face." But the defense was not having it. They tried to poke holes in her credibility, pressing Dawn about allegedly changing her story over the years. Next, we have makeup artist to the stars Mila Morales. She worked with both Diddy and Cassie and was there a night things allegedly turned violent. It was Grammys weekend 2010. Morales testified that she and Cassie had just returned from a party and were back in a hotel room until Diddy suddenly burst in. She said, quote, "Sean came in immediately after and asked where she was." The prosecutor asked, "What was his tone of voice?" Morales said, "Angry." The prosecutor asked, "Do you remember what he said?" Morales said, "Where the is she?" Morales told the court Diddy then stormed into the room where Cassie was, shut the door, and moments later she heard screaming and yelling. When Diddy finally left the room, Morales testified Cassie had a swollen eye, a busted lip, and knots on her head. Next up, the jury heard from a man who once worked for Diddy directly, former employee George Kaplan. And let's just say he did not hold anything back. Kaplan was granted immunity to testify because he said without it, he would have pled the fifth. Kaplan told the court his role included cleaning up hotel rooms after Diddy's freak-offs. He testified, quote, "I think that it was implied in the role, as you continue to work closely with Mr. Combs, that protecting him and protecting his public knowledge were really important." The prosecutor asked, how was cleaning up these hotel rooms connected to protecting Mr. Combs? Kaplan responded, hotels would sell videos and images to newspapers to try to embarrass celebrities or other public figures, and that was something I always wanted to avoid. He also revealed that he once carried $50,000 in cash on a private jet for Mr. Combs and made cash pickups like $10,000 from Western Union. Kaplan testified that Diddy was juggling relationships between Kim Porter, Cassie Ventura, and Gina Wen, but he made it clear that Kim was different. He said Mr. Combs always seemed to have an extra gauge of patience with Miss Porter. Miss Porter seemed to make Mr. Combs really happy, even when he was otherwise not. But Kaplan said he personally witnessed abuse against both Cassie and Gina. He described one flight to Vegas where he heard glass breaking on the private jet and later saw Cassie with bruises on her face. Another time, Kaplan says Diddy threw hard green apples at Gina Wen inside of his Miami mansion. When asked why he didn't step in, Kaplan said he was scared for his career. He did finally quit after his father became ill with cancer. He said he didn't want to be a part of covering things up anymore. But if you thought that was intense, let's talk about a bombshell moment, literally. Kid Cudi took the stand and his testimony was explosive. He dated Cassie in 2011 and said everything changed when Diddy found out. Cudi testified that after Cassie told him Diddy knew about their relationship, he got a call from one of Diddy's employees saying Diddy was at his house. Cudi said he was stunned and immediately called him. He testified that he said, quote, "MFer, you in my house?" And he was like, "What's up?" I was like, "MFer, are you in my house?" And he said, "I just want to talk to you." And I was like, "I'm on my way over right now." He was like, "I'm here." But by the time Cudi arrived, no one was there. He said his security cameras had been moved, gifts he'd left on the counter were open, and his dog was locked in the bathroom even though he usually roamed free. But the scariest part came weeks later. Cudi said he got a call from his dog sitter that his Porsche was on fire. The jury saw these photos of the burned car. When he asked how he reacted, Cudi said, "What the F?" During cross-examination, the defense questioned the lack of surveillance footage or DNA evidence tying Diddy to the arson. Cudi wasn't home at the time of the incident. He was actually with Cassie and her family in Connecticut when it happened, something Cassie's mother, Regina, later confirmed in her own testimony. Regina Ventura told the jury she remembered exactly why her daughter and Cudi were together that Christmas in 2011. Because Cassie had just told them that Diddy was threatening to release sex tapes of her. Regina read aloud an email Cassie had sent her. In it, Cassie wrote, "The threats that have been made towards me by Sean Puffy Combs are that he is going to release 2 explicit sex tapes of me. One on Christmas Day, maybe before or right after, and another one sometime soon after that. He has also said that he will be having someone hurt me and Scott Muscuddy physically. He made a point that it wouldn't be by his hands. He has actually said he'd be out of the country when it happened." Regina said reading those words made her physically sick. But it didn't end there. She told the court that Diddy demanded she pay him $20,000, money he said he had spent on Cassie. The prosecutor asked her, "Why did you go to the bank and take out a $20,000 loan?" Regina replied, "I was scared for my daughter's safety." She was then asked what the money was for. She said, "To pay Sean Combs." And when asked why, she said, "Because he demanded it." Regina wired Combs the money, but said that days later, he returned it back to her. Diddy has denied all allegations. And as we head into the long weekend, the prosecution is preparing their next set of witnesses, which may include a female they refer to as Victim 2. We'll keep you updated right here on Scandal as the feds continue to present their case against Diddy. You don't want to miss it, so make sure to subscribe. You can also send us emails at our tip line, scandal@lawandcrime.com. I'm Kennedi Walker.